MXES is a weird little creature, right? I've already pointed out that this summoned skull wannabe doesn't really fit in a lot of narratives that we have, and I've had my thoughts on what it is in the past. That was before FNAF even told us what MXES stood for. And although I was wrong about the acronym, was I right about the purpose of MXES? I think I was closer than some people thought at the time. So slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. So what does Ruin actually tell us about MXES? Throughout the game, if you wear the Vanny mask for too long, this weird blue rabbit shows up and just kind of mews at you. If he does it for too long, eventually static starts to build on your screen and a random animatronic kills you. And he haunts you throughout the game aside for a few moments of peace, until the end of the game when you're in the basement of the Pizzaplex and you find the main MXES machine, and you're able to access its console to fully disable the security protocol. Once we do, this entity shows up again, but is sucked right back into the machine and stopped for good. It also opens a nearby metal door. And that's pretty much the last of it we see in the entire franchise, but that is plenty to work with for some speculation, which I've done in the past. So what did I think MXES was after the release of Ruin? Well, again, at the time, all we had to work with was it was a weird piece of technology in the basement of the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator. So my brain said, okay, Henry probably made it. After all, he made a lot of the things we find in the Pizzaplex, and this room seems to be the one he operated in, so it would make sense that it would be there. And it was then later co-opted by Gregory and Vanessa to lock away the mimic. In fact, I thought the original MXES console was to conceal experimentation on the marionette, the acronym being the Marionette Experimentation Enshroudment System. And look, the acronym, I like it, clearly that's wrong. But my thinking at the time, and I still really like these findings, is the fact that there's only 3 findable burn rooms. So if there ever only was 3 burn rooms, then the one character we don't see burn in the epilogue of FNAF 6 never did. That being Lefty, the thing containing the marionette. My thinking at the time was that Henry found the mimic down here and thought that maybe he could bring Charlie back using it. Similar to how in the books, Henry ended up making Charlie robots that recreated his lost daughter. If he found this mimic, maybe he could train it to be more like Charlie. And whether or not that worked, that was the purpose of all this technology. But again, that was wrong. And I also later changed my mind when Help Wanted 2 came out. In Help Wanted 2, it made it seem like Glitchtrap had these different iterations. So I started considering the possibility that GGY and Vanny were iterations of Glitchtrap, and they survived being removed from Vanessa and Gregory. And that Help Wanted 2 was those 2 personalities battling it out to try to take over the mind of the next host. So in that context, MXES instead was an old piece of technology that was then utilized by GGY to keep everyone safe and shrouded, so Vanny could focus on recreating Burntrap while no one could be the wiser. But then when GGY was separated and eventually destroyed, Vanny didn't know how to disable MXES, and it was instead becoming a hindrance, so they needed to trick Cassie down there to turn it off for them. Which again, that's a good concept. I like that idea. But then we got Secret of the Mimic, which kind of took all the lore we thought we knew, and Book of Spells has been helpful, but I'm getting really tired. I've been at this for days. Wait a minute. It's not a spell, that's a sponsor. Sure. Today's video is brought to you by Titan Mattress. Finding the right mattress can be tough, especially if you need more support. Titan is built just for that. With a mix of heavy-duty coils and high-quality foam, Titan mattresses deliver serious support without sacrificing comfort. Designed, made, and shipped from their Arizona factory, it's quality you can feel without the high price tag. When I was searching for a new mattress, I was honestly looking for 2 main things: comfort and cooling. I'm a hot sleeper, I just exude heat waves at night. So based on this, I got the Titan Plus Elite mattress at a king size. And I've had my Titan mattress for a few weeks now, and I love it. The 2-inch Glasotex Plus Cooling Cloud pillow top makes it perfect for a hot sleeper like me, and can keep me cool, but it isn't too cool for my wife who's normal. Not to mention the comfort level is leagues above my old mattress. It feels like it has so much support without sacrificing any of the necessary comfort. With your Titan mattress, you get a 120-night sleep trial, along with a limited lifetime warranty, and free shipping right to your door within the US. Plus, it just comes rolled in a box and is super easy to set up. I mean, look at how easy easy this was. The best part about all of this is that Titan mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their Arizona factory. This means they're able to use premium materials at a reasonable price for you with no middleman driving up the cost. And as much as I love my Elite, Titan offers two different options: the Titan Plus Luxe as well as their newest Elite model that I have. So they really have something for everyone. I can't tell you how much I love my Titan mattress, and I think you would too. If you need something supportive that actually holds up, this is it. Check out titanmattress.com/rytoast and get 30% off your order with code RYTOAST. That's 30% off. Or click the link below. Thanks again to Titan Mattress for sponsoring today's video. Well, there's no time like the present for a nap. Frankly, the most important thing Secret of the Mimic does to tell us about MXES is finally tell us what this weird acronym is supposed to mean. It stands for Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage. It's only found on one monitor in the entire game near the end in the safe room next to Murray's office in his private home. It's also listed as Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage number 1, which implies there's more. But within this MXES console, we can execute cradle.exe, and seemingly in-game, that doesn't do anything. But it does piss off the Mimic, which then leads us to run away, unsuccessfully. But that's not the only information related to MXES we get in this game, because there's Fiona, or F10 and 4, and I'm no scientist, but this box and this box are the same damn box. Except the label has been changed. So what's the deal with that? Because clearly this is the same kind of machine, but unless somebody went to the Fiona machine, shaved off that label, and re-welded a new label, these are two different boxes. Well, with the other evidence in Secret of the Mimic, that does track. After all, in a similar safe room in the main Murray's Costume Manor, we instead see Experimental Storage number 2, which is where we access the Mimic schematics. So if this experimental storage is also a MXES console, this starts to make a lot more sense. After all, the Fiona machine is in the basement of MCM, and likewise its console is in the same building. So this MXES console in Murray's private home is likely connected to a separate MXES machine in Murray's home that we don't get to see. My main thinking is that these are both Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage containers, but since this one was created to hold M1's personality, either Murray just personalized it to make it more like Fiona, or since this computer is located within Murray's Costume Manor, just to be extra safe, he didn't want to list what the full name of this project was on any monitor, even if it's in his private safe room. I mean, we know the man was paranoid. His private computer in his private office in his private house has redacted and locks files on it. Edwin, ain't nobody getting to your secret folders. Let us look at them. But Secret of the Mimic is showing us that there's likely at least 2 of these really big boxes. One of them has the Mimic schematics, and the other one has cradle.exe. And since the one with the Mimic schematics is the Fiona console, our MXES from Ruin must be the one with cradle.exe. The one that we don't actually get to see in Secret of the Mimic, the one with the correct label we would have seen in Ruin. So if our Ruin MXES has cradle.exe inside of it and is capable of being run, does that help us at all? Does that tell us more about what MXES and the entity might be? Well, I think so, if we start talking about what the game tells us cradle.exe is created to do. There's only one point in the entire game that we get a clear answer as to what cradle.exe could possibly be, and it's in an email found in Edwin's office in the main building. That email being from Fiona, or F10 and 4. It reads, "Edwin, please talk to me. We need to stop it together. Here are the blueprints for the cradle. It can keep David safe and provide boundaries. It's a type of computer, and it's bigger than anything you've done before. If you won't finish the program, consider building the cradle. It will keep people safe." So whatever cradle.exe is, it needs MXES in order to function, and it's something that could theoretically contain and capture M2, or quote, keep David safe and provide boundaries. A program that would keep the Mimic in one place. Hey, that kind of sounds like MXES. Look, I really wanted to do the bit again, but if I did the bit every video, it would get old. But half of theorizing is setting up something and then giving you that twist, so theoretically, I could script every video to have that bit. I think it's a good bit, but again, I don't want to overuse it just because we're talking about. So to put this together, what does MXES actually do in Ruin? Whenever we're wearing the mask, it tries to kill us. It gets closer, observing us, until eventually it sends an animatronic after us. The Mimic and Glitchtrap seem to desperately want to get rid of this thing, but they seem incapable of doing so on their own. The Mimic, as Gregory on the walkie-talkie, and Glitchtrap as Helpy in the mask itself, need a human to manipulate downstairs and undo all of MXES' security protocols, until ultimately making it down to the main CRT monitor next to the machine and fully deactivating the program. But when we, as Cassie, are not using the Vanny mask, MXES is absolutely no threat to us. MXES isn't even visible. MXES exists solely in the AR world. So if MXES is cradle.exe, this makes sense, doesn't it? The point of cradle.exe is to capture and neutralize the Mimic, and that's exactly what MXES has done and is trying to do again with Glitchtrap. The Mimic is currently locked away in the pizzeria basement in a sealed room. Cradle.exe has captured M2 and given it boundaries, exactly like M1 said it was going to, putting M2 in a locked, sealed room and preventing its programming from leaving. Now, when Glitchtrap, an iteration of the Mimic, is actively being used throughout the Pizzaplex, MXES, or the Cradle.exe program, is hot on our tail, seeking out that source of the Mimic and attempting to obtain it, neutralizing the person carrying it if it must. So both the Mimic and Glitchtrap recognize that a program like MXES or cradle.exe is enough to stop them both in their tracks forevermore. M2 might have been locked away ever since we ran the original Cradle. Sure, he's walking away at the end of the game, but we don't know where to. And if he ever gets back to MCM, it's likely that cradle.exe is going to lock him in the same room we find him in 50 years down the line. And Glitchtrap sure as hell does not want to be locked inside of this MXES box, just like M1 was. So Glitchtrap and the Mimic have a shared goal to get rid of cradle.exe, but neither of them can do anything about it. M2 is still locked in the basement, and if Glitchtrap is around too long, he's going right down there with it. So they need a human, a non-Mimic controlled human, a regular human to manipulate and trick into deactivating all the security protocols that MXES has set up so that once it's finally deactivated, they can both be free. Note that in the Brazil ending, Glitchtrap seems to take over Cassie's mind pretty instantaneously. Why didn't it do it until then? I think it's because MXES was still out and about, and if Glitchtrap was permanently out and about inside of Cassie's mind, it would have been yoinked by cradle.exe the moment it could. But the big question is, who set this all up? I still think the likely culprit is Cassie's dad. We know he was investigating the Pizzaplex through Help Wanted 2 and Cassie's dialogue. If he encountered the MXES console and cradle.exe, he could be the one responsible for its rabbit makeover. We know Bonnie was his favorite, and if he was placing security nodes throughout the entire Pizzaplex, this would explain why MXES got so strong and able to contain everything so well. After all, Glitchtrap is a menace during Help Wanted 2 and Security Breach, but in Ruin is terrified. Cassie's dad might have been that difference. So was I right or was I wrong? Mostly wrong, but there were parts of that theory that were right. And that's why I love theorizing alongside an ongoing series like Five Nights at Freddy's. You can come up with a pretty good speculation, and even if some or most of it is proven wrong, some of those bones do carry over into what is more accurate. So was MXES built by Henry and adjusted by Cassie's dad and GGY and it was this whole thing? No. But it is a machine that was keeping the Mimic locked away, and it was likely adjusted by Cassie's dad. But now we know the true origins of it, all the way back to M1, who was just trying to keep M2 safe so that Edwin could fix it. And now it's loose and needs to be dealt with. So let me know if you think this is finally the correct theory on MXES in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want to see a theory that is a lot more iffy and a lot less solid, last week I talked about if Murray's Costume Manor was powered by loads of Remnant, which you can find right here. If you want your fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share it with #ToastArt. A huge thank you to the best channel members, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.